Every single year, we have the eclipses, and they are representing the most important events in a year. Typically, we have 2 seasons of eclipses. In most cases, there are just 2 eclipses in every season, like one solar and another is lunar. So whenever we have the eclipses, they represent the alignment of lights, like sun, moon, and earth. And that alignment is like a meditation for the planet Earth. We always say that whenever we have alignment with the lights, our planet meditates. So we can say that planet Earth literally meditates twice a year. During the eclipse season, we can get new transformations, new changes, new beginning or ending in our life. There are always significant moments. For example, every eclipse is like a tunnel of our consciousness that actually leads us to a transformation. In karmic astrology, we always look at the eclipses as specific elevators. We call them time elevators that connects us with a specific time in our soul that represents a memory of a certain event. If you are talking about the solar eclipses, they are very important to connect us with our past life memories, while lunar eclipses are mostly connecting us with our future life memories. In every eclipse season, we always have a solar and a lunar eclipse, meaning we connect to different experiences, whether they are in past or in the future. Every eclipse, whether it's a solar or lunar, has a nature similar to Pluto or the 8th house. Just because this is the very powerful moment of change, of transformation, eclipse looks like a vortex. So the vortex in time that opens new realities for us, new memories, brings here. Some eclipses are challenging for some people. The others might be very rewarding and gives us more insights or some very positive changes in our life. So it all depends on what does that eclipse touches in our natal chart. For example, we will have in this eclipse season, starting September 7th, starting with the lunar eclipse on a 15 degree of Pisces. And that one will touch that degree, which opens a memory from the future, that comes from the future, from some future lives in us. Practically, that means that it is psychologically demanding, so to say. So if this 15 degree of Pisces is easily positioned in our natal chart, yes, we can get great insights, and especially from this one, because 15 degree of every sign is like the royal degree of that sign. So if we have like the 15 degree of Pisces, we are talking about the key degree that rule all the Pisces. And then we have the eclipse there, and the ruler of the eclipse, one of them is Jupiter, it's exalted, and it's going to be on a like 19 degree of Cancer, making trine to that eclipse. I would say that generally, all in all, that's good news. This is the eclipse that supports us. In some cases, some people might have challenged that degree. So even though the nature of that eclipse is a positive one, like rewarding, some people may feel very sensitive at that time, very psychologically unstable, because whenever we have a lunar eclipse, it affects most of our emotions and our psychology. That's how we can feel. What can that bring in our lives? If you are talking about the eclipse that's going to happen 2 weeks after that, which is going to be a solar eclipse, it's also very, very interesting because it's happening at the very last degree of the sign of Virgo, which means next to the fall equinox that we have. So 0 degree of Libra would be a fall equinox, where we start a new cycle. But before we start a new cycle, we need to end something. So 29 degree of every given sign is always similar to the sign of Pisces or to the 12th house, or it is very Neptunian by its nature, because it actually signifies the importance of ending ending something. Something is going to end. It can be many different things. It can relate to mundane events, something that's supposed to end starting from that day till the next eclipse happens 6 months after it. So we may conclude that in a period of next 6 months, something are going to end. So in our personal life, it's also important to understand we end with some part of our life and we start something new. For example, we just need to check what we have on a 29 degree of Virgo, or maybe some other 29 degrees and how that degree relate to that. And also, of course, we need to check the Mercury position, which is going to be the ruler of that eclipse. Combination of those, we can see what is the possible outcome for us in that period of time. What can we expect for that to happen? Where does it take us? Every single eclipse belongs to a family of eclipses. All the eclipses are part of a greater saros cycle. Saros cycle is the cycle of eclipses, where each eclipse that belongs to a certain family repeats every 18 years and 10 days. With those repetition, every 18 years, 10 days, we have a long strings of eclipses, and one family typically lives like 1300 years, approximately like that, and we can expect that some specific nature exists in that saros cycle. In my book, which is called The Dragons of Solar Eclipses, I was describing all these saros cycles by their nature, and we see them as different dragons. So dragons are like huge energies that we have that connects many lives that we have, that connects different families into one story. And we all belong to a certain dragon family according to our prenatal eclipse, the eclipse that we were born with. In every given time, we get a new kind of eclipses or new connection with those dragons. For example, this eclipse that is going to happen September 21st belongs to a saros cycle, which is pretty young, I would say. That dragon, that saros cycle, was born back in 1917. It just had few eclipses from that series happened, but if we want to understand the nature of it, we just need to check the charts of when it first time existed and what is the goal of that. So whatever we can say with this saros cycle is that this one belongs to the nature of revolution. We want to change something. We want to start something new. We all remember that 1917 was the year of revolution in Russia, and that most likely this one is connected with that kind of memory. But it is a change. It wants something to change. And in this particular case, with this degree, 29 degree, it wants to end something. It wants to finish something. So generally speaking, the primary assumption is that we can expect that from this September till somewhere March, we can expect change. We can expect some shift. I would also like to emphasize that in this period, we will also have an important major planetary configuration. This is a great conjunction between Saturn and Neptune, 0 degree in Aries, that will happen next year, February 20th. That already emphasizes the importance of something that will end and something new will become there. So we are talking about the general events while we are also talking about our personal life. So we just need to check, are we called by this eclipse? Do we have something in common? And how much is that? Do we have a lot in common with that eclipse, meaning that particular degree is very active in our chart, and the Mercury position. So what does that do? And by that, we can see how the time unfolds in front of us. But every eclipse is always a crucial moment for change, for transformation. And we may say that all of us always live between the eclipses, the eclipse seasons. One happens, and then the 6 months after that, another happens. And it always asks us to be in alignment with our 3 parts of existence, our mind, our body, and the relationship between them, which is the area of our feelings, our emotions. We need to unite three of them when we enter the eclipse season, or as we call the elevator, the time elevator. Because if we are integrated at that time, if we integrate our thoughts with our emotions, with our body, we're good with the eclipse. Eclipse will actually connect us with certain messages that we are gaining either from the past or for the future, but they will be always good. We'll be like ready for them. But if we are not integrated, if we are not aligned in ourselves, like our mind is on one side, our body is doing something totally different, they are not in coherence, and our emotions are mass. If this is the case, when the eclipse happens, well, it's not going to be easy, especially for those guys who have something on these degrees that might be challenging or different, because then it will demand. We must integrate if we want really to continue to do something. So it actually works in that case like a Pluto, that change, that bring a huge change in our life that maybe we do not understand sometimes why this is happening to us. But the reason is always we need to be integrated in order to connect with our soul. And this is the only purpose that every single eclipse essentially brings to us.